If you've ever wondered whether you're neurodivergent or just felt like you see the world a little differently, you're not alone. I was diagnosed autistic at 25, and suddenly, so many things I never had words for started to make sense. Here, I share the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful parts of life through an autistic lens. My name is Elena Carroll, and if you're looking for answers, understanding, or just an autistic friend, you're in the right place. Hey guys, it's Elena and welcome back to my channel. We're a little bit all over the place today. I have kind of just got out of the shower. I'm not in my usual location, and so finding a spot where there was adequate lighting but also not the most hideous background was a little bit challenging. Not that these things really matter. You're here for the content in which I am sharing with you. But we are just kind of all over the place. You know what summer is like. I hope you guys are having quite a good summer at the moment. For those of you who are on that part of the world, everyone back home is in winter right now, for me. But anyway, today I am going to be talking about 10 things you would actually do if you were autistic. I had this comment said to me the other day by someone new that I met, and they kind of stumbled across my social media platform, seeing what I do, what kind of content I create for everyone. Sorry if you can hear the chair sporadically. I'm trying to not move an inch. And they basically said to me like, oh my God, now having watched your content, like I feel a little bit autistic. And I'm sure that this person, has a great heart, and meant that as in like, oh my God, we can relate on something. But I did not interpret it that way. And I'm sure that so many of you hearing that did not interpret that as a positive thing, because so many of us have struggled our entire lives, and it's not as easy as just like stumbling across someone's social media and being like, oh my God, I've got that, haha, funny. For so many of us, including myself, it was like a life or death diagnosis. I definitely think that there are a lot of traits within the autism diagnosis that people can relate to, but it doesn't always mean that you have autism. It can be so many other reasons, and that is possibly why so many of us were diagnosed so much later in life, because it may not have presented quite like autism. So if you are someone who is sitting there questioning whether you are autistic, you may be self-diagnosed, may not have received a formal diagnosis, this video is for you. But I guess I am making this video for the people that just don't know quite what is going on in their minds. So hopefully this helps. This is 10 things you would actually do if you had autism. The first one is analyzes existence, the meaning of life, the meaning of their life, everything continually. This is seeing the world, seeing life on multiple levels and analyzing it just constantly. This might also include seeing your own thinking processes at multiple levels. Everything is thought about in such a depth constantly that it's really, really hard to kind of think about things on a surface level, very shallow. This is, I think, a big reason why autistic people are just always so tired and experiencing mental, emotional, physical fatigue, because the thinking is just so intense. Knowing your place in the world, knowing what any of this means and for what purpose is such a big question that we are plagued with, I think, from a very, very early age. I've always wanted to know, like, why was I born? And like, that was a question before I received my diagnosis at 25. I was continuously asking my mum, like, what was the point in being born with a brain like this? And I knew that no one's brain around me was working quite the same. So there is just a heightened level of a depth of thinking, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. The second one, I think, is there is an innocence and a naivety to you. You might find it really difficult to kind of foresee vindictive, manipulative behavior. I think this is where so many of us try and see the best in people and situations and relationships. We miss red flags. We miss the red flags with friendships, lying. This is why bullying, abusive relationships, abusive friendships are so prevalent in our lives, because we are not believing that what someone is saying to us might not actually be the truth. It is just so confusing to understand what someone's true intentions are, and this in particular has gotten me into many situations, and it's also really embarrassing. I just want to highlight, it's really embarrassing after something like that has happened, where you've misread a situation and then you're telling people in your life and they're like, how can you not see that? How could you not see the red flags? You had your blinkers down, clearly. Perhaps you are somebody who escapes real life through their fixations, their obsessions, their latest special interests. For me, this was escaping through music and playing the same music over and over again, being able to regulate myself. I think we live in such rich inner worlds. It can be a coping mechanism to escape into the fantasy world, maybe the books we're reading, the art we're creating, the movies, the TV shows that we're watching, the characters we want to be, the musicians we want to be as well. Just living in fantasy worlds. Perhaps you are somebody who is just unable to actually relax through just continuously thinking. Maybe you've been diagnosed with anxiety. This is a very, very common thing, and I talk to a lot of autistic people now online, and this is definitely the very first diagnosis that so many of us received first, and that is a co-occurring condition of autism. I sometimes argue, is it actually anxiety, or is the anxiety just a byproduct of living in a world that was not designed for an autistic brain? I don't know which is which. This next one, I think, was a very, very big part of my life as a child and kind of touches a little bit on the first one, and that is questioning their place in this world. You wonder who you are and what is expected of you. And I think that this is such a prevalent thing for autistic people. We're always just trying to match up, level up with what is happening around us, what everybody else is doing. We may not actually be living for ourselves. We're kind of just living for what is expected and wondering what that actually is. The sense of self and identity is also a very, very confusing one that kind of goes along with this point I just mentioned, because we really don't know who we are, because so much of our life has been dictated by other people. So much of our identity and our choices have been dictated just to fit in. And so knowing the self is basically, it feels quite impossible. Number 6, relationships on a whole are very challenging and very confusing. If you're a female, you no doubt will relate to the experience of friendships ending pretty abruptly. Maybe you don't actually know why. I have had so many friendships that have kind of ended out of the blue, It's quite embarrassing for me to say, but I have gone through so many friends in my life, and I really don't kind of understand why they have fallen through, but I know that this is, a very common experience for autistic females. To further on from that point, maybe you are somebody who has a difficult time making friends as well, but also obsessing over the potential of a new relationship, whether that be a new love interest or whether that be a new friendship. We can become very, very intense around the potential of those dynamics, and it can be hard to kind of release the grip of those thoughts. Number 7, this has been a very big issue in my life. It has caused a lot of friction in different dynamics in my life, and that is being seen as controlling. Even maybe you have questioned whether you are narcissistic. That is to say that you are not narcissistic, but maybe your behaviors, how controlling they might appear to others, maybe you have questioned, or maybe you've been told, like in my case, that you are a narcissist, which is never fun. I have had to literally ask my therapist at one point, like, hey, did you ever see narcissism in me? And she's like, well, a narcissist wouldn't be asking me this, so no. So if you're worried about it, chances are you're probably not. Number 8, you have a continuous dialogue that is always running through your head in social situations that is kind of telling you how to act and what to say. And most of the time they are probably negative dialogues that is going on in your head, and most of the time it's probably really, really hard to kind of live with. I know for myself, like if I am awkward or I fuck up socially in a conversation, and I walk away and my brain is like, you idiot, what do you mean? Why did you say this? And I just can't get that dialogue out of my head. It takes me hours, particularly if I did bad. It is just constant. If I did good, my brain will still somehow find a way to tell me what I could have done better. And so this is just a constant. It's not a natural thing for us to socialize necessarily, and we are always trying to keep up and making sure that we are passing for a neurotypical, passing for what the group is kind of wanting from us. And so yeah, that dialogue is mean. Let me tell you, I hate that. That is the one thing I really struggle with. My mind is just how pessimistic it always is about my efforts. And I work hard, and I'm sure you guys work really hard to keep up in this life, and I just wish our minds could just be a little kinder. Number 8, maybe you fear others' opinions, criticisms, you struggle with rejection, and you may have rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is so intense. It is so destabilizing to one's life when we do feel an ounce of rejection. I would even go to the extent, and this is not me saying that this is correct in any way. This is not me saying that I want to be like this, or I'm continuously going to be choosing to live like this. I actively try and work through my sensitivities, but I am someone who does struggle with the rejection sensitive dysphoria, and how that translates in my life is like an example. If they were just like, hey, you've got a little something in your teeth, immediately I'm not hearing that like, oh, they're helping me, they don't want me to have that food in my teeth, and oh my God, they're so kind for looking out for me. I'm like, what an idiot that I didn't see that. How could I get food stuck in my teeth? The fact someone has perceived food in my teeth and therefore my failing is even more embarrassing, and down the spiral it goes. That might last a day to a week, depending on how intense or how embarrassing or how bad the rejection feels. If we are talking about breakups, rejection feels for me like the end of the world. And so yeah, maybe you do struggle with just a heightened sensitivity to life, to people's opinions, to people's criticisms, to people's advice as well. And finally, number 10, feeling good about yourself actually takes a lot of time and effort. And I think this is just from living in a world that told us that we were wrong, living in a world that was not designed for us at all. It's really hard to have that backing of self and believe that you had the upper hand. I'm always the first person to be like, oh my God, I fucked up. Oh my God, sorry. I obviously misread that, and I may not have. It's not always my fault. It's not always your fault, but we are always the first to doubt ourselves. Sometimes I find it really annoying when people are like, oh my God, autism is your superpower. You are so different, you think so differently to everyone else, and that is your superpower. And while that is 1,000% correct, as you can see by these points, it's really, really hard to live with a brain that doesn't actually trust itself. And that, I don't believe, is so much because we are destined to be negative, depressed, sad, unconfident people. I think it's from the world having continuously told us, you are wrong, you've done that wrong, you shouldn't be doing that, you're too rude, you're too cold, XYZ. I don't know why that one just like hit a little heavier. I talk to you guys, but really I'm talking to myself as well. It is like therapy. I'm ending this video by asking you, pleading with you, just to be a little bit kinder to yourself. We already live in such a cold, harsh, criticizing world. The last thing that you need is to do that to yourself, and just because the world has done that to you doesn't mean that you need to do that to you. And I'm talking to me as well when I say that. I'm just sending so much love to all of you guys right now, all of you who are questioning your place, what it all means, who you are, everything in between. I know what that's like, and that is why I create the content that I do. If you guys are looking to find a little community, I actually host talks every Thursday where I talk about, all different things, struggles, discoveries I have had within my autism journey. So yeah, I am trying to bring together a community of people who might be introverts in real life but want to find others that relate. So if you guys are interested, at least I will leave a link to my talks down below. I would love to actually talk to some of my viewers, which is kind of opening up the space a little bit more for me to connect with you guys. But if that doesn't tickle your fancy, I also have, that was so weird, I also have my other social medias that are always linked down below. I try and chat to you guys all the time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that everything was kind of all over the place with lighting and background and all of that, but just trying to do our best here with a squeaky chair. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fabulous morning or night wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.